YouTube limits me on my music stuff. I can only have so many seconds of it. But we're going to start piecing this motor back together. I got all the exhaust, the manifold, the water manifold, this coolant manifold. I got it all cleaned up over here. Got that all cleaned up. Got new gaskets on there. We're going to start piecing this thing all back together. Got a big old pile of parts there. Got to go onto this truck. Well, we got all our tidying all set. You guys have seen that in the last video. And before I get started, next step is got to lubricate everything. So basically, you just take a fresh clean motor oil, and you just start going at it. Put a nice thick coat on here. You want to know how thick to put it on there? It's kind of like baking a chocolate cake for Tracy. And if she asks how much icing, if you ask her how much icing, it'll be like this. She has a very strong chocolate affection. She likes her chocolate. I actually goes on and on about it. And she loves Hershey bars. With Hershey. I actually when I first started dating her, I bought, I think it was last year around this time, before, whatever, but they always come out with those big giant kisses and the big Hershey bars. I actually bought her one of those big giant kiss things, and I gave it to her when I came home and stuff, and she was all excited about it. Her and her granddaughter just tore into that thing. And then the next time I came home, I bought her a 3-pound Hershey bar. It lasted for a while. Not as long as you think, though. She likes that Hershey stuff. There we go. Good and coated. Got that all cleaned up there. Got our gasket in here. Bit tricky. One person, we'll get her. Wondering what that hum is the battery charger. We've been having issues with the forklift. I can get the charger to actually work properly. And, we actually tried to buy another charger. The guy brought the charger over here and I hooked it up. Still didn't work. So then The boss actually, we loaded it up today, and the boss actually took it to a place in Baltimore. There's a phone number on the charger that we got, and he called it up and talked to him, and they said, bring them in, we'll test them out, see what's going on. So we loaded them up, and he ran them to Baltimore. It's really not that far. And they tested them out, and I guess the original one was okay. The problem is that we ran the battery down too low, and now the charger won't recognize it. And the other charger that the guy brought over last night, we didn't pay him for it because it wouldn't work. We said, well, we need to see if we can get this thing to work before we're going to pay you. And he left it here, and we took it with him. They looked at it, and they said it was actually not for this type of battery. It's not for this forklift. So, so that one's not any good. When we called the guy, told that guy we're going to meet up with him and give it back to him. But they gave us like a manual thing, because it has to be a certain voltage for the charger to actually recognize it and turn on. And we ran it down below that battery level, so the charger wouldn't come on. And they gave us like a manual thing. You just turn it on. It will never shut off. It will just keep going on the batteries. But I have to get the voltage above 48 volts before the other charger will recognize it and actually start charging. So that's what I got going on now. I'm kind of keeping an eye on it, checking it out every once in a while. These gaskets just stay under. Just like that. Gaskets, they have like a little rubber plug on the back of them. Go. They have like a little rubber plug that fits into a spot and keeps them there. It's pretty nice. I like that. I like that design. Alright. Some of these get long ones, some of them get short. Looks like gotta kind of remember all this stuff, you know. It's been a month and a half since I left here. Luckily enough, I haven't had to use it yet, but luckily enough, his dad's truck is parked outside. The other mechanic is supposed to be doing some work on it, and he hasn't made it back in yet. I told the boss today that he is feeling sick and he's actually going to the doctor. He's afraid about COVID. This would be where the long one goes. Looking about right. I'll go back and torque all those down and everything. I'm just trying to remember all this, going through it all and everything. So it gets tightened in a sequence. Looks like they're all ready to torque with just hit it on the impact. Well, that was not. That's why it's best to go over them, right? Torquing something doesn't make it, I don't want to say this, it isn't about really, it is kind of, but it's kind of not about how tight it is. It's kind of about, it's a uniform tightness. See, if I wouldn't have checked this, then you saw there was a couple loose ones. Go. This is also 22 foot-pounds. I might as well just put it on there. I gotta find another bolt yet. Alright, I got the exhaust manifold all cleaned up. I've done this exhaust manifold a few times. And I'm gonna put it on in one piece. You can put it on in pieces. Kind of makes it easier to handle, get the bolts all started and stuff. But the last time that I did this, I bought all new studs. I bought all new bolts because, if you remember, this was broken off by another mechanic that worked here for a little bit. And he broke one of the studs off in the head. I ended up having to drill it out and helicoil. There was two of them I had to do it too. So the bolts were pretty old and rusted. They were the original. So I told the boss, gotta get new exhaust bolts. So I kept a couple of the old exhaust bolts, and I got a little trick that I did when I did that. What I did is I made some guides, and what I had done is I just cut the head off of the bolt, and that will still fit through the holes there and stuff. But then I cut a slot, and you can ask JVG Travels. We used to do this all the time with the airplane stuff. You strip screws out, these little wood screws going in. Sometimes you would put a wood screw into something in these model airplanes, and then you would back them out, put a drop of CA glue in them, and then run them in again, and run them back out, run them in. And if you messed up and didn't get it back out in time and it glued in there, you could strip the heads off, and you'd always have to cut a little slit in them so that you can get a flat screwdriver in and get more torque and get them out. So basically what I did is I just made some guides, and by doing this, what I can do is I can assemble this whole exhaust manifold in one shot. And then without the head on the bolt, it's kind of hard to get them back out of there. You can sit there with the little needle pliers and try doing all that. But then by cutting that slot in there, I just take a flat screwdriver and you can back the bolts back out. And I keep these in my toolbox. But see now, all I did is just put a stud here and a stud here, and that will keep this gasket in place. And when I bring in my manifold, I'll be able to bring it in one piece and slide it over the top of those studs, and then put a couple bolts in, and all the holes will be lined up. There we go. Got our studs put in there. You just grab your manifold. There we go. And see, they kind of pretty much sit flush. So I want to thread them in there far enough so that when the weight's on there, it's not putting a lot of weight on the threads on the inside. So then we just take our exhaust bolts and we put them in the holes we don't have studs in. And we know for sure that our gaskets are lined up. Pretty easy way to do it, huh? Sometimes I think with my head. And sometimes I just go brute stroke. But then, and you want to put high temp anti-seize on these too. So hopefully never, but if it does happen, you have to pull this back apart. It's not a complete full rebuild, so can't say forever. But if you ever have to pull this back apart, it will actually come apart. And by doing it this way too, what you're doing is you're keeping these flex pipes right here, which is, you know, a crucial part of this. Be a part that breaks. You're keeping those flex pipes from moving around so much. Screwdriver in there. Turn our studs back out. There we go. There we go. I can just put our other studs in there, and then we'll be torquing it. And it's got to be torqued in a certain pattern. You can Google this stuff. If you got a manual, you can look it up. It's 29 foot-pounds, if I remember correctly. Well, guys, we got this side all back together. I got the turbo installed and everything. I didn't really think you guys needed to watch me put another turbo on this truck again. You guys have seen it a few times. But put her all back in there and everything, and got the new alternator put on there. All the connections are all coated and everything. Everything is good there. This side's pretty much done. So I'm going to move around to the front a little bit, but I thought we'd just look at this turbo. This was the whole problem. So now, this is what happened. See this nut? There's an impeller here. Okay, that's your turbo. When you hear a turbo spool up, a diesel truck by and you hear that, you know, that turbo noise. That's what this is. This turbine right here is spooling up. But you see how it's got a flat side on that nut that holds that blade on? And then see how it's got like dents in it and stuff? That's what the other turbo didn't have. I'm not really sure if I got that video or not. I'm trying to get the video. These are, guys, the videos are very old. I've had them for a long time. I'm not finding everything that I know is there, but I'm trying. But if I can't find it, this is the reason why that turbo failed. I found the nut when I pulled off the air intake off of here, the hose. I heard something jiggle in there, and this nut was laying inside, and it did not have any of these little dents on there. And that's what happens. You see there's a name. Somebody will, right there. See it? And they sign in stuff that this has been inspected. It is good to go. And then they take it's like a punch or whatever, and they hit it and they score this. They smash the nut, which basically makes it a lock nut. It can't come off. And the other nut didn't have a scratch on it. So basically nobody did that. I didn't think to look at it. I've never really looked at one. I know they do it. I know it's always been done. I didn't double check it. Could be my bad, I guess. And how many times do you sit there and inspect the parts to make sure that they're up to par, you know? But it wasn't done, and that nut just came off. And when that nut came off, this impeller blade just spun around in there and just boom, tore everything up. And so yeah, quite the deal. I'm actually wondering if this is a brand new turbo. I don't know, because I mean it's got right there the tag is on it. And that's a Detroit diesel tag. I don't know. I don't know if this is a reman or if they're a brand new turbo. Not really sure on that one. But we're all done with this side pretty much. I mean, there's a few wires and stuff that got to be tied up, and you know, the AC, and there's bars that got to go across there and stuff. But I'm trying to get the engine stuff done. But I'm gonna move around to the front and start putting a couple things on here. But I think I'm gonna shut her on down, guys. So we're getting it reassembled slowly but surely. I'm working a little slower this trip out here. Things are going just a little bit slower. It is what it is. So I'm gonna let you guys go. I hope that everyone out there is having themselves a great day, great night as they watch this here video. And if you're not, certainly just try that all over again tomorrow. My boss is pretty cool about this. He understands that I'm worn out, so he's been very patient with me. He's actually afraid that he's getting sick. The other mechanic, I guess, called in. He actually is on the way to the doctor. I guess he thinks he has COVID too. I didn't give it to him. But yeah, so it's not good. I know it's spreading really bad. So anybody dealing with that stuff, I wish you all the luck. Been there, done that. So I'm gonna let you guys go. Tomorrow we'll be jumping on this side over here, and I'll be installing the water cooler, or the oil cooler, and putting the oil filter system back on here. Doing all that, and so we'll catch you guys tomorrow. See ya.